In this video, I'm going to show you how to download and install PNETLab for your lab testing as a network engineer. So click on download. Once you go to PNETLab.com, click download. That will take you to the download page, which will give you also an instruction that you need to actually follow if you're installing this on VMware or you're installing it on EXSI host. I'm going to be using EXSI hosts, and this is the download file down here. I'm going to click on this download file, and then you're going to download the file. Now that the file has been downloaded, I'm going to go to my EXSI hosts, and I'm going to go to virtual machine. I'm going to install a new VM. Because my download is actually an OVA file, I'm going to deploy the VM from OVA file. Click next, select the OVA file that I just downloaded. This is the OVA file I just downloaded, and then name it whatever name you want. In my case here is going to be my fourth one. Click next. Next, select the interface that you want to be your NATed interface, and you could select your bridge interface as well. Click next, and then click finish for your deploy. I'm just waiting for this to be fully deployed. Currently, it's still running. Once this is 100%, then we're going to continue. We're almost done. So now that it's actually installed, we're going to go to the VM we just installed, and by now you should see it's booting. You can see it's ready. The username is roots, and the password is written up there, pnet. This is going to ask us to type the root password, and then repeat the root password, which basically is whatever you want it to be, to set your domain, whatever your domain is. Now you want to use a DHCP or a static IP. This is where you do it, but for me, I'm going to stick with DHCP. I'm not going to use any NTP. I'm going to leave it as default. I'm using a direct connection to the internet from my VM. This is going to cause this to reboot. Once the reboot is done, there's one more step that we need to do. So now that it's already rebooted, so I'm going to log in again with the root password you created, or that you have, whichever one. Now, once this is done, it's going to tell you your memory usage, your disk usage. It's going to tell you your load, your IP address, and things like that. At this point, my focus is to shut this down. So I could just shut this down. Let me try this command, sudo power off, and that will shut this down. Why do I need to shut this down? I need to shut it down so I can actually reconfigure this to enable virtualization as it was stated in the documentation. So this is very, very important. So that's why I need to come here to my CPU and then expose hardware assisted virtualization to the guest OS. Click on OS as in save, and then start the machine again. Now, if you are using VMware, this is what you need to do. You go to the hardware, you go to processor, and then you check these two options. For me, I'm using EXSI host, and this is all I need to check. And that's why you saw me just doing that. Once this is ready, we're going to log in back again. And then once we log in, we're going to begin the configuration. So now we're going to log in again with the root and the root password. Now, the next thing we're going to do is to install the ishare 2, which is very important. We are not focused on opening the web at this point. We're just interested in installing the needed what's it called, software that we need to run this lab correctly. Or we're going to install this using either wget or git clone. Let's try with the git clone. The command will be git clone, and then you're going to put the URL github.com/ishare2 -org /ishare2 -cli.git. This is the repository that you could download the ishare2 from using git clone. The next thing we're going to do is to copy the file by using cp ishare2 -cli /share2 into the usr directory /sbin /ishare2. This is where we're copying this to. Of course, I have an error because I was supposed to write ishare2 here. I wrote ishare. So, all right. So it says there's no what's it called? There's no directory with such name. Let's look at that again to be sure that I wrote the correct statement. Give me a moment. All right, looking this clearly, I did notice where my error is. So the error is actually because I wrote ishare2 here, but I wrote share2 instead of ishare2. So for some reason, it's just a typo. So cp ishare2 -cli /ishare2, and then put a space, and then put the destination, which is /usr /sb /ishare2. That's exactly what I was trying to type, but for some reason, my brain is moving faster than my hand. Then I'm going to change the permission. I'm going to make this executable, and then I'm going to put destination, which is the new folder where I have the file ishare2. This makes it executable. So the next thing we're going to do is to run ishare2 to see if it's working. There it is. So we've installed ishare2. That's one step. Now you could use wget as an option as well to install the ishare2. But in this situation, we use git clone. So we will still get the same results. In the video description, I'm going to put the command to use either the wget or to use the git clone. So that will be available for you to use. So once this is ready, we are then going to begin to install all the things that we need to run our lab. Now, while this is installing, I just wanted to show you a lab. This device already shows you the IP address earlier when we completed the installation. If you cannot remember the IP address, that's perfectly fine. You could basically just log out and log in back. It will show you the IP address at the login page, or you could as well just write the command to just show you the IP address, and that's also fine. So at this point, we're fine with we're okay with this just completing its steps. So now this would ask you if you want to use accelerated download. You could say yes or no, depending on how fast you want it to run with your download. If you say yes, it will tell you, or you could have some issue with as in with the download. So here it says this basically improves the download speed, but you may have some issues. You can disable this as in later by using the ishare2 config command to disable this later. So if you want to disable this later, you would just type in ishare2 space config, and then it would ask you the same question again, and then say no. That's how to disable it. But at this point, we're just going to use a fast download, and then we're going to allow the certificate as well by saying yes to the certificate and go through this installation step. So sometimes this just stops at this point here. That's okay. Just click on press the enter key. That will ask you to validate your SSH validation. The default is yes. We're going to use number 2 for main. The default is there. If you could change it to whatever you want. I'm going to use number 1, which is the default here. That's perfectly fine. And then we're good to go. So the next thing we're going to do is to install ishare2. We're going to install the dynamics. So we're going to say pull dynamics all. That's going to install about just to be sure that I wrote it correctly. Ishare to pull dyne mips. That means okay. Yep, the command, it's correct. Give me a moment to verify that. Okay, let's try it this way. We're going to follow this syntax. Ishare to and the action is pull, and what I'm pulling is dynamics. This is giving me an invalid ID. Let me be sure I put in the right command. Okay, that's fine. We're just gonna do this. Ishare to search all. This should list all. Okay, that's good. And then we could say ishare to pull IOL. I believe all should work. Yes, IOL all is working. For some reason, I think IOL wants to install before Dynamics, so that's fine. We'll install IOL. That's about 14 images to install, and then we're going to try the Dynamics, and then we're going to start the chmod. Okay, great. So that's already installed. That we're going to install ishare to shar2. If I can only spell pull, and let's try the Dynamics now. Dynamics all. See, it's working now. Except maybe I wrote something wrong earlier, but I don't know. IOL wants to work before Dynamics in my case, but yeah, it's working. That's going to install about 26 of the images that we need for Dynamics. And then once this is done, we're going to install chmod. But I will warn you, do not install chmod all. That's crazy because that's actually like a terabyte of file. So I'm going to show you what to do with the chmod. Great. So we have installed the 26 images for Dynamics. Now, of course, if I exit this, and then you could see the IP address up here. So like that's what I was trying to say earlier. So you could just log in, and then if you log in, you also would see the IP address. So it will give you some of the information. So you can see here your memory usage. Now we've used about 12% of our 100 gig space. So basically, I'm going to show you what we've basically done. So this is my IP 5753. I'm going to type in. Please make sure you're using HTTPS. It's very, very funny. It's funny when you're using HTTP. So type in the IP address. We're going to click on proceed. And then we have two options. You have the online mode and your offline mode. So the online mode allows you to use the online labs, and the offline mode doesn't really care about that. Of course, you could see the difference between the offline version and the online version by reading some of this thing here. So, or you could just go to the documentation and read more of that. But I'm not interested in that. I'm going to use the online mode. At this point, it doesn't really matter whether I use the online mode or the offline mode. I'm going to log in with my credential. The cool thing is that you can use just one credential to log into different labs. That if you want to set up different labs on different machines, which is very kind of cool. So I'm going to do this. If only I can type my password correctly, and then type in the encryption. Click on login. Once you are able to log in, the next thing you're going to see is this page. So this will show you your workspace. This is your lab preview. We do not have any running lab at this point. Notice your running lab is basically nothing. I want to show you what we've been basically installed. We've installed IOL. We've installed Dynamics. So we're going to just click on put in the name. That's the only thing that is important here. Click OK. Click Add. And then once you click Add, that is going to create this topology environment for you. Then you click here to add an object, and then click Add Node, which is Node. This is what we've installed so far. By default, it only comes with these two. So this is the Dynamics and this is the IOL that we've installed. Now you're like, what we installed? The 14 IOL images, yes. So if you click on IOL and then you come here, you see different images are there. But there are 26 Dynamics as well. Yes, there are 26 Dynamics that you could basically add as well. So if you go to this Dynamics for 3640, there are 2 images there. If you go to the Dynamics for 7200, you see other images that are about in total 26 images. But one thing is missing. Now if I come here and I want to work with next generation firewall like FortiGate, like Palo, it's missing. Now you could show all unsupported ones. These are the ones you can install. Oh, ASA, ASAV, Cisco CUCM, Cisco Catalyst 8000V Edge, and so on like that. The ones that are not installed yet are grayed out. So definitely you could actually look at the list and say, I want to install this, I want to install Palo, I want to install FortiGate, do you want to install Juniper, you want to install anything, that's Cisco Firepower. So what you just need to do is to go to chmod. So this is what I want to show you. Go back to the, you could use SSH or you could use this. You could just type in ishare2 search. Now you could search it by name, Palo. Now this tells you all the Palo that you have. Now the most important thing is to install using ID. Notice that gives us, you can use the command ishare2 pull, and then we have the type. The type is actually chmod, as you can see in the type section. So we're going to do ishare2 pull. The type is chmod. Now you do not need to install all of this Palo. You just need to install one. So I'm going to install the latest version. In this situation, I believe 11.2.5 is the latest version here, which has an ID of 1077. So I'm just going to say 1077, and that's going to be about 6.2 gig. This is going to download 6.2 gig for your Palo. Now this takes a while. So while this is running, I could do this. I could basically go to my terminal. If I use Porty, and I could just open this in Porty and then do another one, 172.1.7.5.7, 50, if only I remember what it was, 53, and then click open. So while this is downloading here, which is actually going to, this is currently about 2 gig in, I'm going to download FortiGate. So I'm going to just log in, put in the root password that you created, and then I'm going to do the same thing. ishare2 search. I need 40 nets. You could do 40 nets. Now you can type in 40 nets. That will give you all the 40 nets. The reason why I like to use the Porty is it gives me the option to basically scroll both up and down as compared to me using the terminal for, what's it called, the terminal for my EXSIOs. So here I'm going to install that of FortiGate. So for FortiGate is going to be an FGT. This is 6, this is version 6, this is version 7. The latest one is 7.6.2 according to this here, so which is actually having an ID of 584. So what you can do is say ishare2 pull. The type is chmod, just like this type. See, type, notice chmod. So you're gonna do type chmod, and then you're gonna put the ID 567, right? 567. Let's verify that. 567. No, not that. I believe I was saying 548 to 547. So I'm going to install the 548s. Now, sometimes you download labs, and the labs actually have a different image, and you would need to reinstall the image. So I'm going to show you. Notice how fast this was to install, because this is just about 105 meg. Now, if I go back to my browser, now if I come back here and then click on add objects and node, one thing you notice is that it's not there, but you're like, oh yeah, what you need to do is click on refresh. Once you click on refresh, that basically would refresh your repository and then give you the image in real time. There is my FortiGate. Notice this is the one I downloaded, 7.62 with this build number. Now click on save, drop it down here, and then click start, and that will just basically load the images. And once you see the green at the bottom here, once this is ready, then you should be ready to console into the device. We're gonna wait for that to turn green. So if it turns red, then you might need to get another image, but or re-download it. So basically, this is it here. Once I click on it, you'll see this loading the iOS for Fortinet. Very cool. So I'm waiting for that to begin loading. You will begin to see it load. Now, while this is load, notice this is how Fortinet load. While this is load, I just want to check up on my Palo. So my Palo is almost done. So I'm waiting for that to complete the extraction. This is also working in progress. Now, while this is working in progress, I want to take the opportunity to also install a Windows server. So to do a Windows server, I cannot remember the name of the Windows server. Just type in here, ishare 2 search. I could just do server. Now this will give you all the list of devices that have server, Windows server. So this is servers, both Ubuntu. I do have a jump box here. This is Windows Server 2019, 2012, 2019. I believe this is standard edition. I'm not sure what this is, but this is R2. So you could basically install any one you want. So let's install a 2012. This is about 3.8 gig. Notice the ID is 1745. So what do? You say ishare 2 pull. What is the type? KMO. And then what is the ID? 17 what? 45. Then once that is ready, so notice your FortiGate is ready. You could basically log into your FortiGate VM. So this is how to install. So now what we're going to do, this is ready. We're going to look at our Palo to see if our Palo is ready. Come here, add objects. Notice I've not refreshed. And then notice the Palo, it's here. I think it must have come in when I refreshed earlier. So if you can't see it, just go ahead and click on the refresh. The Windows Server is not there at this point. If the Windows Server was already completely installed, you probably will see it when you go to add objects. So at this point, you can see it's already here. So now Palo, you can add the Palo by just clicking on it, and then you could also as well do the settings that you want. You could choose the ports and so on like that. Here, the memory, the CPU. So I'm just going to leave it as default. Click on save. This is going to drop the Palo here as well. You could click on start to start this Palo VM, and of course notice this has to be green for it to be working. If it's showing red, it means it's not working very well. You could actually connect this to a switch. We do not have any switch yet. We could look at our objects, hard node, and look through this and say, I need a switch. I believe I might be able to have a layer 2 switch here. Let's find something there. This might be advanced IP-based ION. I can just choose any one. Let me choose this particular one. This is saying this has Ethernet 1. You could add more Ethernet to it if you want, but let's just leave it this way. Click on save. If this doesn't work, we have the iOS that we can actually, or VIOS that we can actually install as well. So you could actually search for that here. Just say ishare 2 search VIOS. That will give you some list of VIOS that you can actually install that are very good switches for your Cisco switch. So we could just say ishare 2 pull KMO is the type, and then we can install 1349. That's just a choice I want to pick. Then click on enter, and then that will begin to do the installation. Once it's done, you could install multiple. If, of course, you could say 1356, that's another one you could install. Of course, once this is done, because these are very small files, so they install very fast, 102 compared to when you're downloading it in gig. So this goes very fast. So you could as well search for catalysts. So you could just say ishare2 search catalysts. If you're using Juniper, you could search for Juniper. So these are catalyst devices there. So there's 8000V. So I could just say ishare2 chmod 241. So what if I want to install Juniper? So the same thing. We'll go to the terminal. Then the Windows server is already ready. So we're just going to do ishare2 search Juniper. So you will have list of Juniper devices. So you have the Juniper AVO, you have the other ones that you can as well install. So you could just say ishare2 pull chmod, and then you could just pick any of the ones that you're very comfortable to install. Let's say 818, and then install that. So it's a very simple thing. So now that our Windows server has been installed, I could just basically refresh this, and let me quickly bring in the Windows server, and then I will show you the lab, and that will be it for this video. I'm just trying to, I don't want to try to drag it too long. Click on Add Node, and then click on Windows Server. And of course, because we only have a single image, you can have different images. But right now we only have 2012, and then this is the Windows Server here. You could change the icon by going to Edit, and then click on the icon and changing the icon to whatever icon that you like. But I'm okay with the icon that it came with. So click on this to start it, and then once this is started, what you can do is you can then click on this to see how this is exactly booting. This is going to boot your Windows server the same way it's going to boot a PC from scratch. So this is kind of cool. So of course you're wondering, so how do I connect this? This is how to connect another node. So this is this connection here is what you use to connect it to another node. So you just click on the cable connection, and then you connect it to the other device. So like by dragging it to the other device that you want it to go to. So something like this. So let's drag it to this Palo. So it will tell you, okay, on the interface of the Palo, these are the interfaces that you have. Which interface do you want to use? So I want to use this interface on the Palo. On the Windows, this is the interface that you have, and then that's okay with you. Click on OK. So it says no hot plug, of course. Hot plug basically means don't plug it while it's booting, or while it's on, plug it while it's still off, more or less. So at this point, we're just going to leave it this way. This is the Palo here. This is the Windows server, which is still trying to come up. So of course, this is how to get your images in. So while this is actually still downloading some of the images, I believe we've been able to install the Juniper. There are other ones like Arista. I showed you the list earlier. You might be wondering, so how do I know all this list? So very straightforward. Go to Add Objects, Nodes, and then here on the under the unsupported, you will see all the ones that you can actually install. You have the Arista, you have the Aruba, you have the Barracuda, you have the Checkpoint, you have the Cisco ASA. You have the Cisco Call Manager, you have the Cisco ICE, you have BigTeller for Cisco, you have HP, VSR, you have Aruba, Juniper, you have Linux. So for people who want to use Kali Linux, that's actually a very easy one. So you're wondering, how do I install Kali Linux? Very straightforward. Just come back here to your search, and then search for Kali. And then it will tell you what ID Kali is. So notice these are all the Kalis that you have. You have the Kali 2020, you have the Kali 2019. I could install the Kali 2020. What is the ID? You just do ishare2 pull, the type is chmod, and then you do the ID, which is 840, and that will just install Kali. So this is how you can actually set up and install some of the chmos that you need. Now, very important for people who are going to be using the online version. This is one of the things that is actually very important. I'm going to go back to my home page. To go to the home, I found this as one of the easiest way. I just click on close lab. Once I close the lab, it takes me to my workspace here. Of course, your lab is still running despite the fact that you close it. You can click on running lab and you can still see it running. Notice 2 nodes are running there, the CPU and your RAM and your hard disk that you're using. But what I'm interested in is the download labs. Now, if you go to download labs and you download a lab, I want to show you something which is very, very important. Let's say, for example, you go to the store to download a particular lab. Let's download a lab for FortiGate. You could search for FortiGate here, or you could just search for the lab based on what you see. So if I go to the top lab and click on see more, I'm looking for something that is more of FortiGate, and if I can't see it, I would do a search. Okay, I can't see it. Let me search. Great. So now this is a FortiGate basic deployment. This is FortiGate expert deployment. This is an IPsec. This is actually the one I want to test. You could download any one. Let's try with this IPsec lab. Download this. Click on that lab, and then click on download. This will tell you, give you an instruction about what the lab is. This is how it looks, all the interfaces that you need, the information you need to actually set up this lab as well. Now, sometimes one of the biggest concern is the equipment that they have. You might not have downloaded them. I'm going to show you how to figure that out. So download this lab, and then click download. So once this lab is downloaded, you will see this message. You click on go to lab. Now notice that I do have a different lab. This is my test, the one I just created. This is the one I just installed, and this is the one that just came in. So click on this, and then when you open this lab, that will open the lab preview. Don't forget, we still have our own running lab and this and that lab. Notice this is fully different from what we currently have. So of course you could basically drag this and move this around to wherever you want it to be. So just drag around it and move it around. So at this point, this is all I want to do. Just move it to where I want it to be. Now you could start all this all at once by just coming here, set up node, and then click on start all nodes, and that will begin to start all these nodes one by one. You will know if the nodes are started when you begin to see what's it called, some of this notification. You also below it, you will see like this one is started, this one is started, and notice this one is not started, this is not started. Now this one is in padlock mode, which this is running, so that's going to start. You will know which one is started, you will know which one is not running. Just give it some time. So I'm waiting for this to start, waiting for this to start, waiting for all this. This is actually also trying to start as well. Now what you can do is you can basically click on this device here. I believe is a firewall for FortiGate. I'm going to click on edit, and that will tell us this is using FGT v6. Notice it tells us the image is what? Invalid. That is actually the point I want to drive to. Notice you could actually change the image to the one we downloaded. But if we want to use the exact image that they use, so this image is called FGT v6 build 1723. We could download that exact image, 1723. So how do you do that? So we'll go to a terminal, and then we download. We do ishare 2 search FGT. I could just search FGT, but I'm looking for FGT v6 build 1723, which is actually this one. So this has a number, the ID of what? 518. So what we're going to do is to say ishare 2 pull chmo, and then we're going to do 518. And once you run this will download the build 6 for FGT V6, I mean the build 1723 I meant to say. So once this is fully downloaded and it's already done, notice this is done. I'm going to come back here. Before we saw that image as invalid, we're going to refresh this page, and then once this page is refreshed, you can go back to this and then click on edits, and then notice this is now a valid image. It's no longer showing as invalid because it's now already downloaded. So that is actually one thing that you could actually do to take care of things like this. Notice this switch did not start. If I click on start, it basically tells me we are actually over 95% of my CPU threshold because I do have multiple things running. Let me stop this. Let me stop multiple things so I can start the switch. I just wanted to see which particular one will not run. Of course, you could increase your CPU threshold to make sure that you're able to accommodate that. So let me see if this switch will run. Sometimes it will just try and run and then it will generate an error. Yeah, exactly what I wanted to see. Notice it shows red. Go back to the edits. Notice what is happening here. This is actually having this particular image. Now you could change the image to the one that you already have instead of using the particular image that they want. So I can just say, okay, this is the image I want to use instead of using that one, and I'm going to click on save, and then I can try and refresh it. So once I click on that, that will change the image to the image that I already have. So I don't have to re-download the image to run my lab. I can just basically change the device out. So basically, this is how you could actually, what's it called? This is how you could actually download labs that are already downloaded, and you can basically work with it. I'm still having issue with my CPU threshold. Of course, I could basically close the other running lab. Let me close this one for now and go to the other one, and then get the resources down, come back here, get the resources back in control and stuff like that. So go to the running lab. This is the first lab that I was working on, and of course you could see this one is having about this particular CPU, this is having this particular RAM. You could stop the lab here, and that will tell you, oh, you need to be careful because you need to save your configuration, which you need to know. That is taken care of. Then I can go back to my other lab. Once this has already shut down, you can go back to your other lab, turn off some other things, and then bring the other one back up, and then you're good to go. I hope this video has been very informative for you and has been able to show you how you could basically install your lab, play with some of the images, get some of this running in the way that you want it to run, download other people's labs, and of course, one of the things I forgot to actually mention is when you actually running other people's labs that they've already created. One thing that they've done perfectly well is they put a task. It's actually, once you open the lab, it will be below the screen. You will see a task button that you can click that will show you the task and give you all the outline steps for each of the labs that you can basically play with and follow the instruction on how to learn how to configure all this. Thank you for your time. If you like this video, put in the comments. If you are interested in another video, please let me know. I can create something more fun. Have a good day.